Today we're going to be talking about a board I played last week that I thought was pretty interesting from several different aspects. We'll go through the bidding quickly, it's not that interesting. South opens a spade with 11, 12, 19, semi-balanced 5-4-2-2 shape. In practice, our West overcalled 2 hearts. I'm really not in love with this, but that's what happened. I just don't think it's enough hand, especially opposite a passed partner. Your suit's not that great. You have no reason to think that there's any game on this hand. What it looks like to me is defense. So this 2-heart call seems, I'm not saying people aren't going to make it in practice, but I just don't understand the upside. My partner bid 2 spades, which looks pretty normal, and I just bid the game. And West kicked off with the ace of diamonds. Now if we count our tricks here, and we count from the perspective of the hand with more trumps. That's easiest because we create extra tricks in the short trump holding, not by trumping things back to the long trump holding. So we have 5 spade tricks. We have the ace king of hearts, and we have the ace king of clubs for 9. The most obvious place that our extra tricks would come from would be trumping diamonds in the dummy. That means this is not a pull trump hand. It's a try to ruff 2 diamonds in the dummy and then pull trump hand. So let's see what happened. And West went ahead and cashed the king of diamonds, right or wrong. Switched to a heart. So the first thing I want to do, remember win the ace here, the card you're known to hold, not the king, because that gives away 2 cards. What a lot of people did at this point was they pulled trump and then worried about what to do with these diamond losers later on. Okay, so we'll do it the wrong way first. Okay, so here psychologically you feel like, I've pulled the trump, awesome, don't have to worry about that anymore, which is exactly the wrong way to think about it. You've got to predict that you need to ruff diamonds so that you can use some of dummy's trumps to take care of those diamond losers. And at this point, I mean, you have the 2 spades, the king of hearts, and the ace king of clubs, which is 5 more tricks, 9 for you. You lose the 2 diamonds, and that's 4 tricks for them. You're down 1. Just to confirm, in case you're dubious about this, we can go up to our options, show double dummy, and any card we lead from our hand at this point is down 1. So instead, this time they're going to lead the ace of diamonds, and we're actually going to think about things before we pull trump. So it's ace king of diamonds, heart shift, and now rather than pulling trumps, which psychologically feels like the safe thing to do, we're going to use dummy's trumps to ruff diamonds. So let's say we lead the 7 of diamonds, and we'll make it hard here. We'll make them rough. We have to over rough. And now actually we need to pull 1 round of trumps so that West's last spade is extracted, right? We ruff our other diamond, there's nothing he can do. And now we just come to hand. It looks like it's safest to come with a club, right? Because West overcalled 2 hearts. There's a decent chance that if we tried to play heart back to our hand, that East would ruff. Okay, so we can play a club, pull the last trumps. We just have a claimer, right? We have the 2 trumps, the king of hearts, and the king of clubs for making 5. Big difference from pulling trump, huh? So let's attack this board one more way before we get on with our lives. Let's give the defense a little advantage here. Okay, once again, we're just going to go through the bidding to get to a final contract. Let's say that the defense gets the superpower of clairvoyance. That is, they can predict how you're going to play this hand. Well, if we are scoring extra tricks by trumping, often that means that the defense should lead trumps. So rather than make the normal-looking lead of the ace of diamonds, let's grant them the power of clairvoyance and let's let them lead a trump. And to lead a trump, we go through our trick counting exercise again. 5 spades, 2 hearts, 2 clubs. We'd like to rough diamonds in the dummy, but oof, they're off to a trump lead. That looks bad for us. Okay, so say we go about our business, we try to rough diamonds, you know, maybe they'll have a stroke and forget to play a second and third round of trump. We lead another diamond. We're actually going to get lucky here, right? Because West just happens to have the ace-king doubleton of diamonds without the third trump, right? So we actually are going to get to rough 1 diamond here. And we go ahead with that plan. And we're coming back to our hand, the same thing as earlier in the video. We're going to come back with a club, right? Because that's the safest way back to our hand. It's always possible, and I mean even somewhat likely, that the hearts were, you know, 6-1 against us instead of 5-2. So we come back a club. And we pull the last trump. Now at this point, let's do a restock of our trick inventory. We've got 6 in the bank. We've got 2 spades, the king of hearts, and the king of clubs. That's 10. If we go to our double dummy, we're going to notice something interesting here. Some of our cards say that we can make an over trick. How is that? Well, one thing I've repeated over and over is that there's this thing called a squeeze that sometimes operates when you have all the remaining tricks but 1, and that's certainly the case here, right? The defense has 2. We have 10 that we can count, and there's a fight over the last trick. So even if you don't know exactly how squeezes operate, we can follow some general principles here. And those are identifying what our threat cards are, what cards might grow into tricks. And here we actually have 3 of them. Okay? The jack of hearts might grow into a trick if the queen of hearts were unguarded, right? Like say West was down to the singleton queen of hearts right now. We could play the king of hearts to drop the queen. We still have an entry to the jack of hearts with the king of clubs. So jack of hearts is one threat. The jack of diamonds in our own hand is another threat, right? Because if we can get East to pitch the queen of diamonds, the jack of diamonds would be good. That would be another trick. And the third threat is what it's called in squeeze language, is one of the clubs in the dummy. If we could get our opponents to pitch down to 1 club each, once we let a club to the king, the 10 would be good. Okay, so we actually have threats in 3 suits, and we have the ingredients here for something called a double squeeze. Okay, and a double squeeze means that it's a squeeze that's operating on both opponents at once. Like what's going to happen here is I'm going to squeeze West out of either his heart or his club guard. Guard is like the complement of threat. Guard is what a defender has to do to guard against a threat. Okay? And what we're going to do is squeeze right-hand opponent, East, out of either his queen of diamonds or his club guard. Okay, so all that has to happen in these situations is you run your winners, and you just need to maintain that king of clubs as an entry to the dummy. So that's the last thing we're going to do. I want you to watch what happens. We continue drawing trump here, okay? And West can't pitch a heart because that would make the jack of hearts good after we play the king, so he has to play a club. And we can play a club off the dummy. This club does us no good. Certainly East can afford to pitch a heart, right? And we play our last trump. And again, West has to pitch a club here, right? Because if he pitches a heart, it's the same thing as before. So he's going to pitch a club. And what we've done now, effectively, is squeezed him out of his club guard. Now we get to, what do we pitch from the dummy? Well, the small heart has done its job. Okay, that we were keeping the Jack X of hearts in case West pitched down to a singleton heart. The idea is we always throw the suit that our left-hand opponent keeps. Okay, so here we squeezed him in essence between clubs and hearts. He threw a club, we throw a heart from the dummy. Watch what happens to East. It's the same thing, right? You can't unguard the club at this point, so you have to, and you can't pitch the queen of diamonds because that would be death. So what happens instead is he pitches a diamond, and we play the king of hearts, keeping on with our winners. And now East is toast. Okay, he pitches the queen of diamonds, we claim with the jack of diamonds and the king of clubs. Therefore, he pitches a club. So we've effectively squeezed our left-hand opponent between hearts and clubs, while squeezing our right-hand opponent between diamonds and clubs. That's why this is called a double squeeze. And when we lead the 5 of clubs to the dummy, lefty had to keep the queen of hearts, righty had to keep the queen of diamonds, the 10 of clubs is good. Okay. So there are a couple of ways on this board, like reviewing the hand. Nobody led a trump, so nobody was faced with this situation of actually having to get a double squeeze. But even if they had led a trump, you could fall into this just by using general principles of running your winners and keeping that entry in the dummy. And what actually happened here is something really cool, right? The double squeeze. In practice, if people don't lead trumps, you've got to count your tricks and rough things from the long trump hand, rough side suit losers with dummies trumps. And that would be another way to come to 11 tricks here. So the board was played 15 times. 14 times it was played in 4 spades. 1 time it was played in 3 spades. And there were 3 people who went down in the game because they pulled trumps. Every single time they pulled trumps. So if you're in 3 spades here, you get some paltry amount of match points. I think it was 21% for just getting a plus score. For being plus 140 or 170, it doesn't matter. There's only 1 person apart score. If you get to 4 spades and make 4, that's worth 50% on the board. But 4 spades making 5, that's 89%. Okay, that's a 30-point raw score increase, but over 1/3 of a board in your match point score. That's where the real meat is. Okay, and we're going to get that by roughing losers in the dummy, or failing that, allowing our defensive friends to be clairvoyant. We can run our winners and just fall into a double squeeze here. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you soon.